Welcome to Reverse Sweep, presented by USAA Insurance. Enable Pac-Man, we've got something a little different to talk about today, something that cropped up recently, and it's a discussion around how teams are formed, how team changes happen, and kind of the backroom dynamics with pros, maybe some of the high school mentalities, and kind of the health of the player-to-player interactions behind the scenes. So I kind of want to throw it to you guys based off of everything we heard. What do you feel like is true in that regard with players, how teams are formed? Is it a healthy ecosystem right now, or do you think it is a little high school? What do you guys think?
I'll go first, John. In my opinion, Katie, it's definitely not healthy. But it's one of those things. It is what it is. I know Duke did touch on it a little bit, but as far as I can remember, when I was a competitor, if your team wasn't, I guess, in that contending stage, it seems like there was always people, not even just other players, literally your teammates talking behind your back. Because at the end of the day, this is a very, very volatile job, very volatile space that we're in. And one day you could be living very comfortably. The next day you could be on your way out and not really know what's going to happen, right? So, it happens all the time. It's very high school cliquey. There's a reason why people kind of say some team changes are friendship league. Because it really is important. And I don't think it's healthy, but it's how life is, networking. You obviously need to have a certain skill set, a certain talent to be in the situation, but people are going to network, people are going to throw dirt on your name. That's just how life is. So while I don't think it's healthy, I don't know. I feel like that's how humans are programmed to be. As dumb as that sounds, because it's happened.
No, I don't think that sounds dumb at all. I think that's a great
since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. So healthy? No. Is it ever going anywhere at this point? No. I will say this is something that Merc has talked about. I've talked about it with him too in the past. I feel like maybe around Ghost Time, Black Ops 2. So years ago now. It's been years. We started getting into 8s calls. Before, even in the Halo days, I feel like you were talking to your team unless you're at some giant LAN or something. But you're mostly with your team. You only talk to your team.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. You drop someone, you would actually be playing with people you probably haven't even talked much with before. That could be a system of, 1, we're playing 8s, 2, like Team Speaks and stuff, and Skype and stuff started to actually get used, as opposed to just playing in Xbox party chat with your 8 people. Like, that's all you had. So there was more inclusion. You start meeting people at LAN. You just know these people a lot more, and then that's where like the high school cliquish behavior begins. I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere, because as long as kids are playing, as long as new and upcoming youth is going to start taking over, you got to remember, like, these are kids at the end of the day, and they're going to grow up a certain way. They're going to need to go through growing pains, right? This is just how it is when you're coming up as an 18-year-old kid, 17, 16-year-old, when these guys are getting good. You act a certain way. That's how you handle issues. People, I'm a grown man, and people still don't want to confront you with issues, right? They don't want that. They don't want that negativity in their life, but they still need to get it out. And it's a lot easier to get it out once the person's not there, and you can just say what you want to say to a room and feel safe about it. Even if they tell the person later, you can always deny it or spin it in a way, or like, no, I said this. You know what I mean? It's just you're avoiding confrontation, and that's what it's always going to be. And it sucks when you feel like it's your friends doing it to you, so you feel like you wouldn't do it to them, but they do it to you, and that's just super negative, and that's where the unhealthiness comes from. But it's still going to get said regardless, right? And I don't think that's ever going to go anywhere in COD, and like Ian said, life in general. I just think that also, if as this becomes a more professional scene, if management maybe has to take a bigger role in that, and like, don't talk about your teammates behind their back. Like, if you're gonna say it in here. We'll say everything that we have to say face to face. But even then, you can never police people like that. There's too many free hours in the day.
I do think there's a chance that could kind of be pushed to the side in Call of Duty. Now, I don't know how it works in other esports specifically. We're on the outside looking in, but I can tell you from personal experience when I would be at the 100 Thieves compound, right? And the League players play there, the Valorant players play there, the management. Those guys, they're legitimate teams. With how they do team building exercises, the way they interact with each other. But I think the reason that is, and I'm assuming that's 100 Thieves isn't in the minority in that, because those esports are more developed, League of Legends, Valorant. It comes down to the management, like John was saying, but you also need to get the right people that know what they're talking about. I think we're too early on in Call of Duty where most of these guys can't even build a team because they have no idea what they're doing, let alone actually make them a team and consider the team being the most important thing, swallowing your pride as an individual. So I think it's possible, but I think it is up to the management in getting, maybe like life coaches, because like I said, personal experience, that's what 100 Thieves has. They have different coaches for different aspects in these other esports, and I think it helps a lot. And I could be completely wrong, but just from what I see, I look at them and I'm like, damn, we could, COD could never, because of the experience I have in Call of Duty. So hopefully one day it does become obsolete. It will be very tough unless we get to a point where we can evolve as a scene in general. But it's just not good, like John said. It's just not. It's going to be said regardless. But when it does become a thing where it's like, I'm waiting until John leaves the team speak, and he's my teammate, and I'm like, dude, did you see what he did today? He dropped points like he's ass. And then if I say that enough times, when it comes down to roster mania, people are like, dude, Enable was saying he isn't that good. People actually do that.
They do.
People actually think that way when they pick up players. So I don't like it. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Like John said, that's just how life is. There's a lot of people out there that are like that, but hopefully it can become, I guess, less of a thing.
Maybe with the average age of the players going up. So you mentioned these other titles, let's just stick with the 100 Thieves specifically. They have guys, Hiko, Steel. These guys are basically old men, right? So we say Clayster's old. They're older than him. You know what I mean? These guys have been around forever, and it's just maybe as you can sustain a living in Call of Duty, because it was never really a thing outside the top couple teams, right? Now that you can, and maybe the players get older and more mature, you'll see less of it. Grow out of it.
That's actually a good point, because even if we want to talk about Clay, or some of the older guys, now this isn't necessarily just an age thing, but I'll use Clay as an example for argument's sake. He's not really in the team speaks. He's Clay is not moving on, but he's focused on other areas of his life. Possibly starting a family. Getting a house. So he's not in the team speak, just bullshitting. And that's probably how it is for a lot of the other esports that have older players, like John said, where they got a wife, they might have a kid, so it is different with COD. There's a lot of young kids. You're still in that high school, college vibe where you you can hop on TeamSpeak and talk to your boys all night and just bullshit about anything.
I used to do that too. I don't know if you ever had that time, Ian, but I definitely did, where I was sitting in the TeamSpeak. And honestly, when I first left it, it was like, wow, this is so much better not being in this TeamSpeak all day. Shoo! And players definitely go through that too. Clay's one of them. I know Looney's one of them. He doesn't sit in there all day. You can still go there, but you just can't sit there all day. You grow out of it, yeah.
Oh, I like it. I think those are all great points. Can COD mature a little bit? I don't know. We'll see. I would agree. Definitely a unhealthy mentality. Catty behavior never really works in anyone's benefit because, if you're the person who's talking poorly about someone, you can guarantee that someone is going to talk poorly about you as well. But we'll see what happens with it. Guys, as we always say, let us know what you think on the topic. And if you think that this issue is unique to COD or if it's something more widespread in esports, let us know what you think. But that'll be it for us. So we'll see you on the next Reverse Sweep.